Sure. So let's little backstory. I've been playing golf since I was 30, and so that's about 34 years ago. And I've been teaching it for 14 years. And fundamentally, most, if not everyone's golf swing didn't really change, like little fringe stuff, short game stuff. But I was only always in the search for how to fundamentally change a golf swing. And I met my partner Dan Martin, and we came up, or he has this training tool called the Pro, which replaces the shaft with a rope.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Bookmore Show. It's Stuart Bell here again, and today joined by Dave DePula. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Stuart. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, today's going to be a great show because occasionally, maybe 50% of the time, I'm chatting with people who I haven't necessarily talked to before because they've been through the process and for whatever reason we haven't needed to talk. But what I like about today's call is that you and I have talked lots, so I'm kind of coming to this with a little bit more insight into what's going on. So hopefully we can kind of dive a little bit deeper and bring some of that out. But I guess to get everyone else up to speed, why don't you give a bit of an intro on you and the background, and then we can dive into the book a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm from New Jersey. I've been out in California for about 14 years, former real estate agent, and I love that. And now I help people play better golf, lower their handicap, and more importantly, or most importantly, have more fun. So I never work a day in my life. I'm out in Palm Desert, California, and I hate to say it, but like living the dream. Everybody says that. It's actually really true. So
Well, now that we've kind of made everyone jealous and they've turned off, I'm over in Pennsylvania, just outside Philadelphia. So it's chugging it down with rain here today and it's terrible. So you made the right choice in moving out west. The book it's really interesting because the whole premise of playing golf, it's out there and doing it. So people wouldn't necessarily think of a book as a first thing to introduce people to the idea, but your specific approach to helping people reduce their handicap and play a better game, it's almost introducing a slightly new idea. So give people a bit of a background on the product and the process, and then we'll get into how the book is kind of bridging that gap.
sure. So let's little backstory. I've been playing golf since I was 30, and so that's about 34 years ago. And I've been teaching it for 14 years. And fundamentally, most, if not everyone's golf swing didn't really change, like little fringe stuff, short game stuff. But I was only always in the search for how to fundamentally change a golf swing. And not until I met my partner, Dan Martin, and we came up, or he has this training tool called the Pro, which replaces the shaft with a rope. So, two major factors in not being able to change a golf swing. Number one is the way it's taught. So, it's taught prescriptively. In other words, Stuart, you do this or don't do this, turn your hips, turn your body, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And humans just don't learn that way. So,
Right.
you didn't learn how to walk that way, and you certainly didn't learn how to ride a bike that way. So, let's imagine for a moment that a little child, I guess you're around one when you learn how to walk, I guess. I don't have any kids, but let's say that's the case. And the child was able to understand the language of its parents. And can you imagine they said, okay, little Stuart, what I want you to do now is lift your leg up 4 inches, turn your hip to the left, make sure we'd have the entire human race crawling on the ground because they'd be so frustrated. And that's what I found in the golf industry. And it's nobody's fault, but it's the culture, like the culture of things. So I had to break away from that culture, and it happened by accident. And that the culture is that prescriptive thing where this training aid teaches a person, A, how to be free, and B, when you learn how to straighten it coming down, front of your downswing, it teaches the body how to move without me saying a word. Matter of fact, the person who's training themselves isn't even saying anything to themselves. It's actually a visual process. And then the body's learning. And again, it's like a child eats learning how to eat with a spoon or a fork. It's all over the face, it's all over the floor. And then like now I can do it with pretty much without dropping it unless I'm distracted or something. But once again, can you imagine If a baby was taught how to eat and they were told to move their elbow at 45 degrees,
Right.
nobody would be, it would be sloppy everywhere or slop
Yeah.
everywhere. So this basically is 180 degrees opposite of what's being taught out there. And the beauty is it's a fun process because it's actual learning. And then
Interactive.
my definition of learning is evidenced by a change of behavior, not some information. I could know intellectually that cigarettes are bad for me, but until I stop smoking, it doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So I could read all about the golf swing and what Tiger Woods does. So like Jack Nicklaus wrote a book called Golf My Way. Okay. We can't golf his way. I can't golf Stewart's way. I have to golf my way. And this process teaches a person how to literally have an elite golf motion. And once you're trained, so it isn't endless golf lessons. You train just like you learn how to drive a car. Now you go from point A to point B. You already know how to drive. I'm sure Stewart didn't wake up today and say, okay, I need to practice my driving so when I leave the driveway, I won't hit somebody.
Right.
No. So think about how ridiculous it is, but it's hard to see it when a person is inside of it.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't want to say it's my job. I'm just introducing something outside of the culture that actually works.
That real world feedback, the kind of interaction with the thing and learning by doing, it creates such stronger paths. And it's interesting as you were describing it, you kind of think of all the scenarios where you're trying to tell people how to do things and it's just not landing properly. I was actually thinking of the book business, and a lot of what we do is trying to verbally share a message with people. But there's a few things we do around titles workshops and things which are a little bit more interactive that kind of get people to think, have an experience beyond just what we're saying. So should probably revisit that, and there's probably some more depth to it. But from the golf swing particularly, so I just want to dive quickly into the tool itself. So the muscle memory connection in taking that swing and the visual indication of seeing the rope on the device being straight all the way through the swing, that's the thing that is the break for people. It's that consistent golf swing which is replicated by the rope.
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit more. So the golf club is a rigid object, and because it is, leverage can be put on the shaft on the club, and what that does is that ruins the golf swing. So Bobby Jones, who might be one of the best golfers ever, if not the best, said, if you want to learn how to swing a golf club, put a ball at the end of a rope or a string. Okay.
Right.
So basically, that's what this is. So in order for someone to have an actual swing, we actually call it's actually a sling, like you throw a ball, that it just replaces the shaft. So I can't jerk this around. It has to be
Yeah.
in motion. So it's one entire motion. So two things. We're overcoming the rigidity of the shaft, which is the problem of every golf shot. So if I hit it fat or thin, and the golfers who are listening to this, they'll know, or it goes right or goes left, hooks or slices, all misses are because someone has put a leverage force on the shaft. And then when I put a leverage force, the equal and opposite of Newton's, I think that's Newton's third law, for every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So if I put a force on the shaft here, my body's going to move over here differently. But
Right.
when I make this part of my body, and that's what the pro teaches you, it's one entire motion, and it's simultaneous, synchronous, and balanced, all learned by the body's natural learning system without Dave saying, Stuart, do this and do that. You didn't do
Right.
this, you didn't do that. And all you see on the driving range all over the world is pure frustration because you can't learn it that way. It's
Right.
impossible. And I'm not here to say you should or shouldn't do something, but if it's not useful
Yeah.
and it doesn't work,
Yeah. Find a different
but
path.
once again, if all I know is prescriptions, and you're a golf instructor and you're telling me something and it doesn't work, well, I need another prescription, and that doesn't work. Then I get another prescription, but it's not the prescription; it's the prescriptive process that doesn't work. So
Right.
we're really transcending that.
Yeah. Changing the methodology completely. So this is an
Totally.
interesting transition into the book idea then. So obviously the physical the physical necessity of having the tool and practicing the swing and getting all of that feedback through the body, I think a lot of people might then fail to make the connection into a book. And that's what I really like about this project, is it's tying those two worlds together. So talk a little bit about the book, and then we can run into how we make that connection between the book and the real world product. But thinking about writing the book and the content that's in there and who is being targeted or can make the best value from it. Talk a little bit about that audience.
Yeah, so it's basically any person who is a sincere enough golfer and has the desire to change their golf swing, and maybe one of the primary, what's the word I'm looking for? Qualifications, if I can use that word, is frustration.
Right.
And once again, if you look at the driving range all across America, and the club where I belong, everyone's frustrated because number one, they're getting a prescription, whether it's from a YouTube video, the instructor at the club, or some book, that will never work. Okay, so the book is to basically say, hey, everyone who reads it or who gets introduced to it, there's a better way. Okay, prove it to yourself. It's not about me saying this is the only way, but prove it to yourself. One can learn how to do it if they can literally just get a piece of rope. It would definitely help them. This is going to be more of an accelerator because it has a, what do you call this thing? A little weight at the end. It's a little, but ultimately, it's all about learning for yourself and in yourself. And this training aid, or if one had a rope, basically, if a person, a golfer, was on the driving range, had no preconceived notions of how to swing the golf club, they would teach themselves to have a pretty good golf swing, even if they put some leverage on it. But it's when the interference of prescriptions or me telling somebody how to do it. So the book is basically our way of saying there's a better way, check it out, and then introduce them to what we have available. And then someone decides for themselves whether they'd like to try it or not.
Right. That idea of frustration being the consistent element amongst all of the audience, taking it away from the qualification step of it's not just a golfer, it's a golfer who's frustrated with it, and they're frustrated because what's the saying? There's the no unknown unknowns, unknown knowns, known unknowns, and known knowns. Those elements of the stages of frustration. So if you were naively just smacking the ball around and still having fun, well, that's fine, but that's not the audience. It's the frustration element. So the title of the book, talk a little bit about the title, because I think that will resonate with people who are in that situation.
Yeah, so the title is Your Golf Club Lies to You, Why Your Golf Swing Never Changes and What to Really Do About It. So it doesn't change for two reasons, again, and they're equally as important. One is I'm putting a leverage force on a shaft and I don't even know I'm doing it. And number two is everything's prescriptive and someone's telling me what to do or what not to do. And it
Yeah.
just can't work that way. I can't even, so if I had a whole list of what to do, the body's moving so fast and the brain is moving so slow relative to the body that I couldn't tell my body what to do in that amount of time. So that's another element of frustration. And let's call it non-results or no results, is that I'm literally trying to tell myself how to move my body. So if we were in person and I threw a ball to you, you would just catch it. Or if I threw something at you, you would stick your arm up and catch it. But if you told yourself how to do it, you get hit in the face.
Right.
Okay. So it's just amazing how the culture of golf, and there's no criticism of it, it's just the way it is, how the average handicap never changes. The average golf swing never changes. And the professional golfers, despite how much they want to change their golf swing, it pretty much reverts back to what they've been doing. They make a little tweak. But once it's built, unless you have something that is non-prescriptive that can reshape.
Yeah, overwrite those pretty ingrained patterns. What I like about the title and the subheading that you've got is that it really punches home some of it's not there's a level deeper, there's an emotional resonance with it, a level deeper than just the how to. In another world, it could have been how to improve your golf swing. But the idea of people resonating with that, with the words that you're using, the description, I think it's, as people are thinking about writing their own books, this idea of, we do try and tell people to balance the idea of not being too clever, because you don't want to hide the message and not make it obvious. But yours strikes that right balance of, to the target audience, it's obvious what it does, it's not hidden, but it also touches on those emotional pain points and some of the language that is going on in their head already, the something's not right element of, I'm trying these things but they're not working. We talk quite a lot about the call to action in the book and the fact that there is a job of work that it's trying to do. It's trying to lead people to the next step. So the content talking about the two main frustrations and opening people's eyes to a new way of thinking about something is one, but we do have some commercial intent in the project, in the thing that we're doing. So stepping people through to that next step, with your next step being so kind of like physically based, talk a little bit about those, where you're leading the audience to.
Yeah, so in a perfect world, the message that we're sending in the book would resonate so deeply that they would immediately buy the pro. Or if I was rich and didn't need to pay my bills, I'd give them one for free, because having this in their hands is going to absolutely transform their golf swing in a relatively short period of time. But I can't force that on somebody,
Right.
right? So everybody's going to only do it whenever they're ready, right? So whenever they're ready. So we offer that, and that, a scorecard. But ultimately, if, and this is part of like honing my message so it does resonate, and it inspires action, not just for me and be profitable as a business. And of course, I want to do that, but for the person who wants to improve their golf swing, end their frustration, get out of swing prison, hit the ball farther and straighter, and have more fun and lower scores. All that is possible. Okay. I proved it to myself and my students. However, someone who's just hearing this, they might have to hear it a bunch of times, or whenever they're ready, they'll do it. But ultimately, honing the message so succinctly, coming from the heart, that like, bam, they get it immediately.
Right. I think that's the thing as well. This idea that sometimes people need to hear things several times or in several different ways. The book has a tool to identify those invisible prospects that might otherwise be difficult to get in front of, and then be able to share something immediately useful with them. The end result, the product, is easy to conceptualize. It's not like it's some random formula and pat themselves on the head and tap their nose 3 times. It's not complicated, but you've got the ability of, once you've captured those details, to share some of this ongoing information for those who aren't ready yet. And with it being such there's a visual element that kind of adds to it, because it's a mechanical movement, but there's a visual way of sharing stuff. So I know you've got a lot of super useful videos and explainers and guides and tips that you can share with people in the meantime, just to reinforce that message and share that passion until they go out to the golf course for the last time and try the latest YouTube video that they've watched. And then it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they think back, Dave had something that I should try. The video, the videos that you've got and the way that you kind of engage with people and share this information, was that right first time out of the can? You kind of thought, I know what I need to shoot some videos on. It's these 3 subjects and that will hit the mark. Or did some of it come from feedback from, you've obviously been doing this for a few years, so did it come from feedback from all of the interactions over the time, and it was kind of like more user-led content when realized that someone was struggling with a particular thing?
Yeah, so everyone's in it for themselves, right? So if I had a video that says, the reason why you slice the ball, but you don't slice the ball, you hook the ball, you wouldn't pay it any attention. Okay. So
Right.
there's people who slice it and hook it and hit it fat, hit it thin. You can use a general term like inconsistent ball striking, but ultimately it's connecting to that one person. So, I mean, I could shoot a video and say, are you tired of losing golf balls? and that's not going to
Right.
resonate. But if somebody went out and played a round of golf, lost 6 Pro Vs, which are very expensive, Titleist Pro Vs, little plug for them, and then they saw a video that said, "Are you tired of losing golf balls?" Bam, I just connected with that person. So each person is going to have their own affliction or problem with a golf club that's leveraged. So
Right.
a golf club that's leveraged is going to produce all of the bad shots, but each person is going to put leverage on it in a different place, which will have a different result with the ball. So if I put leverage on the top, it'll more than likely slice it. If I put leverage on the bottom, it'll more than likely hook it. What's the answer? Learn how to swing the pro so you don't put any leverage on the golf club. And
Right.
then it doesn't matter whether you hook, slice, hit it fat, thin, those problems will go away after one is trained.
Yeah. And that's a great analogy. I was actually talking with someone earlier this week about this idea. It was a new client we were working with. So I was describing it, the analogy I used was, imagine it's like a strip mall with 5 different business doors or 5 different doors in there. But as you get to the other side, it then opens up into the one business. So each doorway, each entrance is exactly as you said, everyone's in it for themselves. So the doorway number 1 that talks about hooking the shot, that will resonate that group of people. Doorway number 5 that talks about losing balls, that will resonate with those people. But on the other side, it all opens up into the same place, which is the don't put any leverage on the club at all. And this is the way you do it. So I think a lot of people, we talk about creating the books in terms of a campaign. So don't think about traditional books, think about conversation starting books in a campaign sense. But then that kind of locks people's thinking into, oh, it's good for this particular campaign. The next level of thinking around it, the next situation is to think, okay, we're thinking about it in terms of campaigns, but that campaign can have multiple entrances. So just as you described, once the book is created as an asset that serves a number of those entrance points, but within the same general problem, then you've got lots of different ways in. So the 5 Facebook ads that talk about the 5 different swing problems, all leading to a book called Your Golf Club Lies to You, then that makes the asset much more leverageable. Tripping over my words today. Makes it much more leverageable and useful in lots of different ways. The fact that you can interact with people, and the scorecard, as you mentioned, is one of the follow-up steps in the book. So as they're answering those questions, you see what the results are, you hear them talking about a particular frustration. Last week you recorded a video that was useful on that. 3 years ago you recorded another video that was useful for someone else. But this idea of being able to use all of these little assets within the overall campaign toolbox makes it so much more valuable. And like we say, a book has a disproportionate amount of value that's given to people, or people assign a disproportionate amount of authority to it, compared with those exact same words just in a different format. The fact that you can follow it up with a book, talking to people, give them a copy of the book as a next step. It's very easy to use it as a leveraging asset. So on that point, then, talking about the different ways of using it, obviously Facebook ads targeted around golf courses to particular demographics of people who are likely to be the ideal customer is the first way that springs to mind. But I guess you've got the opportunity to use it physically in some cases, or in different
Yeah,
ways of
so
using it.
I don't have so the book literally just came out less than a week ago. So I only have the electronic version. We are running Facebook ads now. We started in the local area, but now we expanded it to the 20 most popular cities for golf. We have the Facebook leads down to like $1.61. It's amazing. And the ad is just, and we tried one with the picture of the book. That wasn't so great. Now there's just a video of me saying, your golf swing isn't broken. There's nothing to fix. It's lying dormant inside you, waiting to be revealed.
Right.
And then offering the book. And that's just a general thing to say. So we're not even saying, read this if you slice the ball. We're not even
Right.
doing that yet. We'll try those. But the physical books, I'll take them to cigar shops and literally get permission to drop them off, different country clubs and golf courses that will allow me to do that, and give them to my current students, have them in their bag, and
Yeah.
somebody says, "Hey, how did you hit the ball so well? Like you used to be terrible," and they just hand them the book.
Yeah. That actually, that can imagine a scenario where someone's been playing with someone for years and suddenly their golf swing improves and someone says to them, "How the heck did you do that?" And I can imagine a scenario where so they're pulling the book out, but then kind of tucking it away or giving it to their friend and ripping the back page out. Or it seems to be that I don't play golf, but I've got friends that I like to wind up about things. So you can imagine this scenario where the referral world in the rest of the world is um, you haven't got the same opportunities to kind of give it to your friends in quite the same way that you do here. So I can imagine lots of fun stories coming out about that. What you were talking about a second ago, the cigar shop as an example, this idea of complementary, non-competing businesses where their audience is your audience. I always try the default go-to when I think about this example is always kind of like chiropractors and physiotherapists and people in that space. We've worked with people in the past who have helped cyclists and some other groups, but the idea of chiropractors, or I can never remember whether that's a UK term or a US term, but physiotherapists, that type of world, because what you're offering doesn't compete exactly with them, but their audience crosses over with your guys. So I think I'm going to try and remember this as that example of competing complementary, non-competing audiences, because there are going to be a lot of chiropractors or PTs who have got golf playing clients who have potentially injured themselves on the golf course. You're not offering any competing service to them. You're offering a service that can, for the PT or the chiropractor, can give them a copy of the book and say, "Hey, we'll get you sorted out." And actually, this is Dave's book talking about the swing itself, because the problem that you've done is from putting leverage in and tweaking your back or pulling something. And it just seems like it's a nice way of amplifying and adding value to their audience without being competing. So anyway, that I think is a great opportunity, and it's the example I'm going to use going forwards because it's pretty obvious to people.
Yes, which gives me an idea where I can actually go to different chiropractors and personal trainers, and if they have a mailing list, say, "Look, I want to send this out. Like it's totally free, it won't cost you anything," and then that gives them something to offer
Yeah,
as a added value, and it
yeah.
gets me out there when somebody already has a list.
Yeah, exactly. You can imagine, I always compare it to, or I always think about it in terms of like the affiliate marketing world. That's not the world that I play in at all. But when you see good affiliate campaigns set up, they'll provide all of the assets to the people to make it as easy as possible. So you can imagine drafting a email copy or a letter or a introductory thing that reinforces, because you've got a copywriter's head on your shoulders, you can reinforce their value. You can kind of play up them in a thing that is actually delivering your thing. So there's a lot of way of dialing that message in to really give the benefits on both sides. We should do a kind of outside of the podcast, but we should do a bit of a brainstorm idea on this complementary competing group of people,
Sure.
because it's so non-competing. It really seems like there's a big opportunity to open that door.
Yes, I agree.
I was actually just got back from Florida last night. I drove down there, had to see a client halfway down. So they boat manufacturer, super yacht manufacturer. So we were talking to those guys and they were going through a load of assets and there was a whole load of visual elements going through it, their brochures. But as we were leaving, the town that it was in, North Carolina, was this little cute little town out in East North Carolina. And as we were leaving, Michael, the guy, gave me the book. It's downstairs. Gave me the book on the town, so it's kind of almost like a little memorial book of the town, but it was actually generated by a realtor in town. So this idea of Michael adding value to the conversation that I was having with him, talking about the town, and this third-party realtor had written the guide and the history and some nice illustrations. So again, this idea of other people being able to amplify your message because what you've created gives value to that audience. So many opportunities to drill into that a little bit more. Okay, off on a bit of a tangent there, sorry. So this, we talked about the next steps and the idea of people will, we've got that hook that captures their passion and the frustration and the thing that resonates with them. We've talked about a couple of the advertising marketing places to intersect with where that audience is. They kind of receive it, and the next step hopefully is that they'll be very frustrated and order a pro in order to be able to fix this issue that they've got. For that group of people who aren't ready to move today, so it's for most businesses, it's the minority of people who take action straight away. But then if we can stay in touch with them over the long period and intersect again when today's the day that they've just hooked it for the last time, what steps do you either have in place at the moment or thinking about putting in place in order to stay in contact with people?
Yeah, so keeping in line with Dean Jackson's stuff and your stuff, we have the first 100 days. So when someone gets the book, they immediately get an email and says, "Thank you for downloading the book. If you didn't get it, here's a link." I didn't put that in here yet, but I'm going to. Grab a cup of coffee. It's a great read. That was one of Dean's things.
Right.
And then the very next day, I hope you're enjoying the book. How often do you get to play golf? So the goal is to strike up a conversation. So far, I have 46 leads in less than a week, and I think 4 or 5 I have conversations started.
Right.
So, and then after that, every 7 days, an email goes out with a super signature, which is the call to action. So whenever you're ready, there's 4 ways I can help you. Come to a workshop, buy a pro, get the scorecard, or come see me one-on-one at the driving range. We'll splash in the tub. So that's what we have.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the flagship where, again, once every week after that, there'll be an email. So where I am right now is the book is to have somebody raise their hand. It's already working beautifully. Now it's honing the process of converting those leads.
Right.
And initially, the emails are like a part of the book put in there, but I'm actually gonna hone the message so succinctly, and it's gonna be so short a message. Like, for example, prescriptions, like the truth about the golf swing, prescriptions don't work. That's it. And then like, I want it to be more of a question, and not even a question that's going to be answered to me, but to themselves. Stuart, why do you play golf? That's it. Like, not me educating them on the swing every single email.
Right.
Maybe it's, again, so I don't know what the process is. Let me rephrase that. I don't know what the process that works is, but a probing question, then a little information about what we do, then another probing question,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and so right now I'm in the converting the leads process of seeing what works and what works best.
Yeah.
And I always think,
But
for me personally, I think less is better.
right. Because people are time constrained. I mean, long form, I've never been a fan of long form landing pages because I don't know how far people get through them. The long form emails, it just gets a little bit too much. The ability to consistently or regularly do less, because us as the insiders, we kind of see every email that we write and we kind of sweat over and give attention to it. So our view of our own outbound marketing is seeing 100% of the big picture. But the recipient, even the most engaged clients, you know yourself from your own mailbox, even the people who you really want to read their message and you're really in tune with it, and in a perfect world, you'd consume every single one. Even those people, you don't open every single email because you're out on the golf course when one comes in, and then 3 hours later when you get back it's gone in the stream. So I think more regular but shorter and more consumable is the better way around of doing it, rather than just hoping that there's this one mammoth one that will do all of the work. So yeah, I completely agree.
And then also, it's a matter of how well does the email connect with the person that's reading it. So, for example, I read every single one of your emails and every single one of Dean's emails because it has value to me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I've been getting Dean's emails for years and years. And I've definitely, like, I bought Email Mastery and the 8 Profit Activators like online program. But then it was years before I did anything else. So it could be literally a year or two, but as long as the content that's being sent that person has value to them, they're going to
Yeah.
open it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a funny story that we tell sometimes is one of the realtors up in Anne, Kenny, who's a good friend of ours. He, we've told this story before, but he purged his list once. So he's been around for, I mean, decades. He purged his list and said, okay, anyone who hasn't opened a message in or hasn't, I haven't had any contact with in 5 years, I'm going to purge them off. I don't know why, because it's no more cost of keeping those people and purging them. But anyway, he was in a spring cleaning mood, so purged the list. And then about 8 months later, got a phone call which went to voicemail. So he was able to play it to us next time he was down in in Windhaven. And the message was, "Hey Kenny, it's Bob here. I hope this is the right number. I don't know what happened. I must have done something, so I got off your list. I used to get your message all the time. Anyway, my sister passed away recently, so we're selling her oceanfront home. We've got an oceanfront home that we want to sell, and then we want to consolidate and buy somewhere a little bit further inland now that we're getting older. So anyway, I hope this number is yours. I actually had to phone another realtor in town to get your number. So anyway, I'm really hoping this finds you." So the kind of the back end of that story is everyone assumes that leads are dead after a certain point, but this person, just as you said, had been happily consuming the stuff for a period of time until they were ready. And then the point that they were ready, because Kenny had purged the stuff months before, they had to jump through several hoops in order to get back to the person who they felt was their guy. It's just that Kenny had no indication that he was their guy for them. But how many people on that list never went to those steps? "Oh, we're ready to sell our house. What was the name of that realtor guy? Oh, I don't know, but I don't get his emails anymore. Okay, well, let's just pick up the yellow pages and call someone down the street." So
Right.
that idea of separating out the collecting of the leads from the converting of the leads, and then the converting of the leads, it's only either today or not today. And if it's not today, all we can do is keep putting stuff out there, and hopefully on the day that is the day, it will intersect. So yeah, great insights there on the life of lead conversion. Um, I always also like that story because I kind of imagine it from the point of view of the intermediate real estate agent that got the call. So he kind of answers the phone, and the guy there says, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to sell my 2 oceanfront homes and buy another one." And the guy rubs his hands and say, "Oh, fantastic. How can I help you?" "Well, do you have Kenny's phone number?" It always
Yeah.
makes me laugh a little bit.
And then the other side of that story is, and this definitely resonates with me because I used to be a real estate agent or a broker, and finding out someone that I sold, let's say I sold them a house, just sold their house or listed their house, and they didn't call me, but I never sent them one single thing.
Right. Yeah. 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 How many
That's
times
the
does that
opposite of
happen?
it.
Yeah. Yeah, you think that it's easy to think that, okay, I'm the person that they know. Why would they not call me next time? But if someone else, it's so in the moment, like even with people's best will and intention, if it's like with referrals, you hear that all the time. "Oh, you know what? You just mentioned something about the golf swing. I was with someone last week who was complaining about their shot all the time. I should have said something." Well, we can't rely on other people to be as into our business as we are. So to be able to consistently send them something of value, the fact that we've got a tool that helps them opt in makes that invisible prospect visible. But now we've got something that we can refer back to. And I like your approach of linking back to things that are mentioned in the book, because it does give that consistency. And it doesn't have to be every message, but at least kind of re-anchoring it every so often helps people understand and remember what the message is. Like point 3 on why their swing currently sucks, they might not remember it having just read it once, but after 3 or 4 messages where you're illustrating or iterating on the point, it just helps people kind of remember and that element sink in. So that just means that they're more likely to remember you at the day when it becomes the day that is today, or if they're talking to someone else, they've got a framework in which to remember you by.
Yeah.
Time, I think this is my standard wrap up for podcasts. I always say that time goes fast, but it really has done again. I want to make sure that people can follow along and see what you're doing. And if they are a player, then do something to improve their swing themselves. So where's a good place for people to go to find out more?
Yes. So they can go to yourgolfclublies2.com, and that's where they can get the book, or they can go to Sling, SLING, the club, slingtheclub.com, which is my personal website, which they can also get the book there as well, and some other goodies that they, if they see the value in that. I like to offer a little advice to someone, or to anybody listening who's a golfer. Whether you get a pro or not, learn to teach yourself without anybody giving you instruction, and you'll be far the better for it.
Right. At least you kind of got that consistent message in your head, and there's not kind of all of these different conflicting messages coming in if you do it that way around.
You know, well, I would say like the person who's going to learn the fastest is the one who doesn't have any preconceived notions how to do it.
Right. Yeah. 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 I just remember I changed vehicles recently and put a UV tint on the windows to keep some of the heat out. And on the company's website, there was a price for doing it fresh, and then there was a price for doing it if you had an existing film on there. And the price for removing the existing film was like 3 times the price of the actual job. And it illustrates that point that trying to remove someone else's work or trying to overwrite bad habits, it's a lot harder than just going in fresh and learning to walk by taking the steps rather than consuming.
Which just reminded me of something. So the truth, which is what we have here. So this is the truth about the golf swing, and my workshops are going to be called that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to shoot an email to the 46 leads I have and say, hey, we're doing a workshop that the truth about the golf swing. Would you like to join us? Is the truth is always a subtraction to the least common denominator, the simple, and that's what the pro
Right.
does, and that's what the swing is, to get rid of everything that's not your true swing, and what's left is your true swing.
Right. That's such a great way of thinking about it. And I think the majority of business owners out there who are on our list because they've thought about writing a book in some way, that's true for them as well. It's less is more in a certain way, and just taking that one step at a time towards being able to help someone. But the simplifying, it's a busy world out there. So the more simplification, the better. Um, Dave, really appreciate it. Everyone that's listening, we'll put links through to Dave's 2 sites in the show notes and in the podcast player. So definitely check out those and follow it through. Dave, thanks again for the time today. It'll be really great. Let's circle back in a few months and see how things are converting and what that follow-up sequence is turned into, because I think this will be valuable to share with people some of the ideas that we test out there.
Thank you, Stuart. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, everyone, thanks for listening again. As I say, check out the show notes and follow the links through to Dave's stuff. And if today's the day that it's good to get your book started, then obviously just reach out to us and we'll be here to help. Okay, thanks everyone. We will catch you in the next one.